Today we're going to focus on adding a trigger to our game environment. We've got our basic environment running. I rotated my avatars so that they would be facing the cube. I could see it's easier to. That's running. In my environment, where should I add a trigger for the second avatar to stand on? Because we are building a puzzle environment. Where should we put our trigger?
Like on top of that.
Okay, there should be somewhere over here on this one. We'll add a trigger there. I was trying to decide, should the trigger be there? We can't really put a trigger here because we can't get to this one. Unless...
You can jump on like the blue cubes and actually use those as platforms.
The jump is really long. I think you're able to jump too.
Are you? Now I have to see.
Yeah, if you jump on the blue cubes, you can actually like use them as like actual platforms.
My jump mojo is not that strong.
Like if you move it.
Yeah, we'd have to move the cube over, which that does make it a little bit of a puzzler. No, I can't get on the blue.
It takes a little bit of precision. Yeah,
not with that. I was considering putting it up here because I can get there easily. But I can see why, yeah, this is also a good location. Or we could even go, can we make it? No, we can't make it to there. At least I can't make it to there.
Okay.
My twitch reflex isn't what it used to be. We'll just blame it on age. Yeah, we could put the trigger up here, or we could put it over here on the circular one. I don't really care where you put your trigger, but we need some way to identify that it is the trigger. How should we do that?
Create a pawn that's a new trigger.
Okay, we should then do what? What's the first step? Okay, what do we need to do first? What's the first step? We're going to go to Content Drawer.
Content Drawer.
We should create a new folder for organization. We'll call this Trigger. We're going to need to create a blueprint class. And it should be Actor.
But we don't need it to do anything.
Yeah.
We just need it to exist.
We just need it to exist and have, is there a collider on it? And if the collider is activated, then we need it to do something. Let's create an actor, BP trigger. And we'll open that up and dock it. Okay, what does our trigger need? Well, but don't we need some kind of visual so that people... yeah. We can go with a light. It could be a cylinder.
I'd say light. That works out really well. Particles.
An explosion continuously happening. That makes me want to go stand on it. Let's go with a point light. Actually, I'm not going to go with the light. But you are welcome to go with the light. I just don't want to go with the light. I'm going to go with the cylinder because I'm just boring that way. We should give it some kind of a material. I think I'm going to go with something in the blue range. Yeah, baby blue. There we go. To bring up the material, oops, hold it, let me save that. Save, there. Here's my trigger. Over here in details, I've got under materials, it's probably white to begin with. Double click on it, then double click on the white box, and you can adjust the shade. That's the fastest, easiest way if you're going with a solid color. Now again, you can add lights, you can add VFX, whatever you want to make yours do, you are welcome to do that. I've got my cylinder, and we do need a collision. We'll just go capsule. We will probably need to scale it up. We do need it coming out the top of it. I'm just going to go 222. That looks better. Yeah, 2.5, 2.52 seems to work okay. It's a little bigger than the capsule, but that we actually want it to be. And doesn't need to be movable unless we wanted it to depress. But even then, it wouldn't really. It just would need to adjust the Z or the Y parameter. I'm going to go static, and we can save it, compile it. Now, what else do we need to do to this? Right, do we need a variable? Do we need a Boolean? That's one way of doing it. Remember, we're working with a game engine. There's probably 50 different ways we could do this. How you approach it is up to you. Yeah, we could just do an event that registers that we're touching it. And that would be in our player. So we really don't even have to have a variable for this project. I've got my capsule, I've got a cylinder on the capsule, I've saved it, I've compiled it, I can go back to my third person view. And again, like I said, I'm going to put it on this cylinder here. Go to content drawer and just pull it in. And then drop it. Because I want to be able to stand on it. There we go. And now, theoretically, I should be able to stand on top of it. The next thing that we need to do is jump back into our cube move. What should we do? What's the next thing? For my goal actor, for the cube. And for my goal actor for the cube, I set it as the second waypoint, the move cube.
On it in the event graph. You said it as actor, you said it cube.
Oh, I've got mine as just simply BP move cube. Now, back in first-person shooter, we did set it as actor because we had it chasing both the character as well as the going to the different points. Think about what the next step is for this. Where do we need to put our collision check? Should it be on the actor or the cube? Where should that be? Okay, where are we going to put it? Yes. We are going to put it someplace. Should it be interacting with the character? Should it be...
It'll probably be on this, but I was thinking that wouldn't you have to call it from the collision box itself? Oh, shoot. What is the answer?
No, I'm going to make you struggle.
Okay. Let's say cube move.
Put it on cube move. When we are doing... Okay, let me take a step back. When you are doing a on component begin overlap, it has to be part of one of the things that it is overlapping, right? Deriving from that, something's going to have to overlap, which means it cannot be in the cube move, because one of the components has to be the overlap component. And then we're checking for the other overlap component, right? Because it takes two to have an overlap. So where do we need to put? It could be on the trigger, or it could be on what is going to stand on the trigger. The player. Yes. Where do we want to put it? Does it matter?
It does matter.
Does it? You know. Maybe it doesn't. If we create a variable to say that the trigger is triggered, we just need to read that variable in on cube move to tell the cube to move. There's multiple different ways that we could go about solving this problem. Which one do you want to do? It either needs to be on BP trigger or it needs to be on BP third person character. Okay, let's add it to the trigger. So we'll go to the event graph on our trigger. We don't need these. So I'm going to select my capsule because the capsule is the trigger, not the cylinder. Yes. They're getting really good at that. Will is my yes man. I'm going to right click with the capsule selected on component, begin overlap. which is a collision event.
See, that's why I was kind of conflicted. It's like, it's not going to be cast to player. Would it be cast to the box? Would it be cast to the floating box?
Or it's just simply, if there's an overlap, we're adding a trigger to make the cube move that can be called from the server. So if there is an overlap, then, which is, the easiest way to do that is to create a
Cast to.
variable in this, make a public variable inside the environment. Let's create a variable. What do we want to call this? Triggered, which will be the effect of this class today. We're going to set the trigger, and we probably need an if-then in there, branch.
Oh wait, would you want to set it first and then branch it? Like set it to the.
No, if there's an overlap, then it's going to be true, and the value, and then we could also have a triggered set for false. So it should change this then based upon the value. Now again, we want to make this a public value. Right? Am I done here?
If it's true, then it's true, if it's false, then it's not.
Well, it's setting the value of triggered to false or true.
Oh.
If it's overlapped, then it's true.
One of them should be probably checked. It's like you're setting both of them to false because like they're like a set value. Like
You're setting trigger to false, and then you're setting.
Okay, we go back here to third person and set the default value. It's already false. In the environment, it's set to false, not in the routine, not in the blueprint. So by default, it is false. If I click it, it would be true. But inside the environment, we have it set.
We don't have to set it from the CPU.
Yes, we do.
To check my trigger.
The trigger set.
yeah, it's,
Or else why are we setting the trigger?
so go to the cube.
You're just setting both triggers to false at this point.
Oh, you're right. I didn't understand the question. You were both right, yes. Click the little checkbox to tell it it's true. Yes, yeah. It's Thursday, which isn't an excuse. I'm just simply stating a fact. Okay, we now have it set to true when it is checked. If cube move, we need to check before we begin the movement if that has been triggered. Right? We need a what here?
Is true. We should probably get a reference to that variable because we would.
Yes. The BP triggered. Yeah, cast 2. And then we need to get our target for the triggered. We need to get triggered, right?
Yes, sorry.
We're going to get triggered. Yes, we need a branch. So if it is true, then it's going to start our execution. So instead of from our event begin play to valid, we're going to instead go to here and this one as well. times.
So you added. Oh, it's,
Oh, I did, do we need an object first? Yes, we do. So the BP trigger.
We probably should get a reference to self, right?
See, what I did was for getting the trigger, I just have it as visible, and then whenever you put it, whatever, you can choose where it goes. Or what it looks like.
I'm not sure I follow. Does it work?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's all that really matters.
Well,
Am I making it more tougher than it needs to be?
A little bit. You don't need to cast to stuff.
Okay,
You just need to have the whatever your trigger things. How do you do it?
my capsule?
Yeah, because if the
Yeah.
variable exists here, then it has to go cast to be.
Not necessarily, no.
It's
You
public
just have to have
variable.
Object reference to it.
Right.
I thought that's what object.
Well, cast 2 does that, but we can also do it just simply, what is the object?
The only issue with trying to cast to it from the very beginning is you don't know, like, you have to have an input object to cast to it.
Right.
And so that's difficult. So what I did was just made a variable that was, you know, the BP trigger object reference and have that visible.
You just simply added that to your cube move.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say is triggered. And that's going to be our BP, or there it is, trigger.
Yeah. And then so you get that, or yeah, make it visible. And then,
That is simpler, rather than doing a cast.
and then you just have to make sure that, you know, in your game, before you hit play and whatnot, that on your cube you're setting the object reference.
Right. I'm sorry? Yeah, triggered, the BP trigger, we did it as an actor.
That's really, that's a whole one, is triggered too.
Yeah, we got a lot of triggers going on here. Yes, we could drag off of is trigger, search for triggered, and you can do get triggered, or yes, get triggered. Since that's a public variable.
is that what you have? Is that working? It's not.
I haven't tested it yet. But Alyssa assures me it will work perfectly. Yep, all kinds of errors. Okay, is triggered is false. Is triggered should be BP triggered.
Oh, it's only getting, okay, go back to the trigger.
Let's try this now. Except it's not. That should be activating, and it's not. Let's figure out what's going on.
That way it's still moving through it, or else it's gonna go through that once and say, oh.
Oh, right. It needs to go from false back to my branch, which won't do that. We could do a delay.
Yeah, I just connected it to the delay at the very end,
That's good.
since that's already going to come back to the beginning.
Yeah, well, because it's only going to check once.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah. It's going to now check, is this a true situation every second?
Oh, now it's just moving on its own now. Yeah, good.
Yep. That was it.
That's not how it's working on mine. What?
Honestly, trigger, BP trigger.
Yes, here's BP trigger.
It's not catching. So, you know, you replace that, like, when you listen.
And let me zoom in a little bit.
That's
It's kind of hard to,
I had it structured a little bit, but it still pops.
oh, it zoomed in all the way.
Right.
So what about cube move?
All we did for cube move is we added the variable is triggered and set it to BP triggered. And then we used that object
Very much listen.
for setting our goal for target triggered,
Yes.
and then set that as our condition for our branch.
Uh-huh. And then you just, you can make false to get a load.
Yes, and that's it.
True, good.
True is valid. In theory, most of you now have a moving triggered cube. In theory, there's still one or two that are struggling with it, but we'll get there. We want things to play from the server. So we need to replicate what's happening to the server, right? Just like we did before with our third-person character. So if I want, let's start with the dance motion, because it should be fairly straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and break my connection between pressing the 3 key, and we're going to create an RPC. How did we do that? Why copy and pasting what we already had? Well, I was thinking about doing it from scratch, just so, yes. Add custom event. I guess that's a way to do that as well.
Yeah.
We're going to name this RPC Dance Monkey. Back to the Dance Monkey. And we're going to set this one to be multicast. And just following along with the example we had here before, we created another custom event. Add custom. And this is going to be our RPC Dance Monkey. And I've been naming them 1 and 2. And if we're following our example, that was run on server. And this Dance Monkey is going to call RPC Dance Monkey, which takes us up to pressing the number 3, calls RPC Dance Monkey 2.
I had a delay and I set execution mode so it can.
That's probably a good idea to add a delay so that it will automatically go back to your original. Yes,
You set the delay and then set animation.
yes. You set a delay for however long the animation is. That's going to vary. You should know how long in this case, I'm calling short dance. I could go to the content drawer, to my character. I guess that's in my Morrow motion. And where's it at? I need my Quinn. Where did I save that? Oh, sure. Get technical on me. No, you're correct.
You don't need to call anything.
Well, I need to know what the length of it is,
Oh.
of the animation. Yes.
And then, when I heard this, it just made me think straight up in the content. But what I did was, I made a folder called dances.
That's what I should have done. You know, if I was a professional about this, I probably would have done that. There, short dance Quinn. And how long is it?
3 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like about 3 seconds will do.
3 to 5.
Yeah. We'll set this to 3 seconds. Oh, 30 seconds isn't going to work.
Type set animation mode. And it should be set animation mode.
For the mesh.
Yes.
And it automatically says, hey, use the mesh
And it should say use animation blueprint.
and use animation blueprint.
And I'll just set it to where it's using its basic animate.
Yeah, we'll go back to whatever they were doing before, probably an idle. And then we'll save, compile. And I'm going to shrink my screen a little bit so that I can see everything that's going on. There we go. I want to be able to see both screens. Yep. And it works. So now we're dancing across the internet. It's amazing. We can have dance-offs. When I'm in the scene and I run a character over and have them jump on, it moves the cube, but right now it's only moving the cube. Oh, it's moving the cube in both scenes.
So it's done?
Yeah, if you use both, either character, it works automatically, because we already set it to where, we already set it before.
I thought I would have to call it from the
Well,
server.
So like if it's, so what I kind of saw was if you call it from there, since the script that we already have the cube moving is calling the server, then it'll call the server on both ends. No matter what it does.
I do think yeah, I think in my cube move, I did in the cube tell it to replicate. Get this working, because that's a key factor as well. Because just because I've done it doesn't mean it's working on your system. Get this working on your system and submit it by next Thursday. Tuesday, I'm going to show you how to launch this so that the listen server is running in the background and you could share your IP address with somebody else and both be able to play the game on different computers. Okay, next week we'll finish up doing basically LAN games and start transitioning into internet-based or Steam, Game Lift, Epic Online. Okay? Fun stuff. That's it for today.